Hello everyone and welcome to OEM Update Magazine's interactive session on smart automation practices for manufacturing. Pandemic resulted in minor setback to many of the manufacturing industries that got shut down. The year 2020 created constraints in human-to-human interaction. It has been a challenging year for both individuals and organizations and provided impetus for pharmaceuticals and lab testing escalation activities. However, 2020 and half of 2021 year embarked upon new opportunities of smart manufacturing, SCADA control and PLCs for propagated automation and maintenance strategies in ensuing future. This is the time to infuse more automation in industrial activity, since gradual unlock is becoming full unlock. Technology is changing the dynamic of industrial automation and transforming the resources predictability using digital information, cloud computing, automation, together with artificial intelligence and robotic process. Automation improves production efficiency, giving fillip to electronic design automation. Software market, which is anticipated to reach $19 million by 2028. The market resurgence from the second half of 2020 is an opportunity of growth in various forms of business, process, and IT automation. Automation for tomorrow's growth is today's future. On this note, today we have come together to witness an engaging interactive session on smart automation practices for manufacturing. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and privilege for me to introduce you to today's distinguished speakers, Mr. Anup Wadhwa, Director, Automation Industry Association, Mr. Ashok Shinde, Business Development Manager, Red Lion Controls, Middle East and SAARC, Mr. Naresh Kanthur, Managing Director, Infosys Private Limited, and Dr. Dev Mukherjee, Managing Director, Omega Psyche Mobility. So delegates, let's get ready for an interactive and engaging session on smart automation practices for manufacturing.
Yes, those were indeed insightful presentation, imparting more awareness about automation. So, Mr. Anup Wadhwa, well to know about Samarth Udyog initiative. Automation is growing. From the perspective of shifting trend in adapting designs and smart manufacturing practices by SMEs, what future opportunities and benefits do you observe about investment in skilling manpower to derive industrial automation efficiency in the ongoing pandemic phase? Mr. Anup.
Yeah, sorry. I mentioned, there are these two sectors, the core manufacturing sector and definitely the auto supply chain is one of them, as Mr. Mukherjee pointed out. The other I would like to mention is about electronics. The amount of imports we do in terms of consumer electronic products or sub-assemblies or complete assemblies is humongous, and that's an area where we definitely see the aspirations of our middle class rise. They want to buy and own all the latest gadgets. If these two areas we look at the challenges of the industry, it definitely starts with product design and also in how do you produce that design in the most efficient manner. But one of the caveats at this point is to also say that very soon we'll also be talking of the hazards of disposal of the waste. So our designs have to be such, the material which we use should be such that there is a recycling possibility. Now that definitely calls for the highest capability in terms of product design, material design, manufacturability, where the engineering stream has to take the lead. But we have seen that excellence never is sustained by only the top level excellence. You can have a handful of IITs and you can have a plethora of, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 colleges. It is moving the lower rung up which can sustain a high quality drive and which can make us self-reliant. So I would say that even the traditional industry, the SME industry, which is making a fastener, let's focus on the tier 3 supply chain. If they had to make a precision product, supply it in a global supply chain, what is it they need to do? If they can get their act together, I think we are on the right curve. As far as skilling is concerned, again, we have the challenge that, we have been able to create world-class courses in our venture with IIT Delhi. And I'm glad to say that we rolled out summer internships and we got about 1,000 applications. And at the end of it, we had close to 100 excellent project activities being done. But 100 is nothing for India. We need to scale up. And in scaling up, you need to have teachers by the hundreds and by the thousands. You've got to have labs. Our lab is a collaborative lab, and anybody can come, make use of it, whether from industry or any other college, and go back. But 1, 2, 3, 4 such collaborative labs are also not enough. Money will definitely go in the right place, provided the people out there are value adding and they are leveraging technology, business practice for the good of that industry or the good of the student. Indian market, fortunately, has been our bedrock and our savior. So we are very, very fortunate that all sectors of our production are covered by a very large population of consumers within India. And we need to be able to leverage that, get the quality standard up, get the people aspirations up, and then move on. So I would say opportunity is large, but gap definitely in the area of train the trainer and more lab facilities and more design capability.
Thank you, Mr. Anup. Mr. Ashok Shinde, in industrial automation, OT and IIoT need endpoint protection from risk. Technically, IoT and Industry 4 monitor the automated processes, enhancing machine productivity, impact cost and performance as well. Share your concern about production efficiency as IT-OT convergence spells new normal, but that is exposing industry to greater cyber risk. And added to it, do Flexes controllers require static IP? That was the Q&A questions.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for all the queries, which is asked in the chat window. Flexes product is the the product which comes with the certain specifications or functions. So this product is mainly for the IoT applications. So it comes with the proper security. So it has got all the security functions, which the part of the routing functionality. And this Flexes products has the options of connecting the 232 protocol as well as the Ethernet protocol. It comes with the 2 Ethernet port. Now, static IP address for the configuration, yes, it is a required static IP address. But if you are using any cellular slate in the product, and then this IP address is depend on what this cellular SIM card is providing. If the SIM card is providing static IP address, then that is okay. If it is not, then we use the function called VPN function inside the product. So the VPN function is part of the routing functionality, which helps to connect remote sites to the control room. And the Flexes is, as I said, it is for the harsh environment. It supports the extended operating temperature, as well as the software, which is we do not charge for software, and it supports the virtual graphics. So HMI kind of pages can be created in the device, so that from remotely, the Flexes devices is just the box, but from remotely we can access all the pages. Also, it supports the functionality for connecting data to the SQL sync, or it has got the function of MQTT inbuilt. So there are various MQTT products. Again, it is a part of security. So all security is handled in the product, and it is supplied worldwide on many applications to solve the IoT concept. And as I said in my slide, IT-OT integration, because these products connects at one end with the hardwares and other end with the softwares. So this has become as a gateway for connecting IT to OT. So that helps in integration of IT and operational technology. Hope I answered the queries.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ashok, for enlightening us about that. Mr. Naresh Kantur, automation is incidental to reducing downtime in production. Pandemic increased opportunities for manufacturing with inclining trends towards digitalization, 3D and robotics technologies. So to be more prepared for global competitiveness, what new technologies besides cobots should smart manufacturing imbibe? Mr. Naresh.
There are so many technologies which are coming in for the automation per se. As Mr. Dev rightly mentioned, and Anup also mentioned in the beginning, that cobot is just one of the tools to implement the automation. And cobot alone cannot do anything, or PLC or IoT alone cannot do anything. So there has to be a convergence of all the 13, 14 pillars that we have for Industry 4.0, which would include cobots, robots, or Cartesian systems, or Delta robots, or Spider robots, or linear systems, or drives, or many, many other devices. They have to converge together. Now, as per the opportunities which are coming into the play after COVID situations, one of the elements that need to be addressed is which are the right technologies, or what are the appropriate technologies from this bouquet, which can be specifically applied to that application. The solutions would be application oriented, and we have to choose one of the right product or one of the right technologies to suit that. Because cost also plays a very important role. Like India still being considered as a cheap labor market, although that myth is gradually disappearing because there is no labor available. So with the cost becomes a very important role, and return of investment by trying to choose which technology is required for the implementation plays a very important role. So I would say, rather than using cobot or any particular device, a right appropriate technology or is the right selection of from the bouquet that need to be done.
Thank you, Mr. Naresh. Dr. Dev Mukherjee, leveraging technology maximizes efficiency. In what way Industry 4 and Atmanirbharta has influenced industry competitiveness for manufacturing industries? And is pandemic unlock phase is the right opportunity for Indian automation industry to see Industry 5 as one of the effective ways to optimize process and improve production efficiency? Dr. Dev, please.
End of the day, whatever technology we deploy, whatever tools we use, everything has to result into efficiency-led profitability. That is essentially the the whole intent of deploying these resources, whether it is money, material, machinery, method improvement, whatever. So end of the day, it has to result into an efficiency-led business. And automation certainly helps that, but automation is scientifically designed automation, as Mr. Kantur said, and Mr. Wadhwa also pointed out. It has to be designed appropriately for that manufacturing system or supply chain system or delivery system, whatever. So you have to put some thought into it and then tailor make it as per your requirement. As far as the Atmanirbhar India campaign is concerned, I think it has to be understood in totality that the Honorable Prime Minister is not talking about just to shut down the imports and become like a closed communist kind of country. That's not the intent. The intent is to make world-class products here. And this is how this can happen, how the nations improve their competitiveness. We have had several cases. Even last 10 years, 8 years or so, if you see, Bangladesh economy has been growing by over 8%. So that is great, because even smaller countries are, making their processes, their products more globally competitive. And so this is the intent here. We need to produce here, we need to design here, we need to make things here, and then look at the global market. There's nothing like India quality and global quality. What used to be the thought about 30-45 years ago when we started working, a supplier will come and say, hey, this is the product, I will charge you 10 rupees for this, but if you need higher quality, I will charge you 20 rupees. So those days have gone. It is not that. There's only one quality, and that has to be understood in the context of Indian industry by Indian manufacturers, whether small, medium, large, it doesn't matter. It is only one quality, and that is a global quality, world-class quality. To make world-class products, you need to have world-class processes, world-class systems. Okay, and every time you don't need to dump a huge amount of money. That is a misconception. Whenever I talk to people in the industry, everybody says, oh no, it is very expensive, the ROI nahi aayega. See, ROI has to be understood in the full total cost of ownership of your product. If you may make it cheap, but at the same time you may make it poor quality, you may make it poor reliability, then you end up having more losses. So that is a problem. I understand it is not just a linear relationship, cost versus quality. There are various other factors also, cost of capital being one, availability of capital being one other. That's a larger debate, but basically what I think is that, and as I said, in the context of automotive industry, this Atmanirbhar India is a great opportunity, and especially the post the pandemic and also the starting of this electric vehicle transition from IC to electric is a huge opportunity for the Indian industry, and we should not miss the bus this time. Where we lost out because of several reasons. Many years ago. This is a great opportunity to become globally competitive, globally known, and made in India as a well accepted and respected brand.
Right.
So I think that can be done using
Absolutely.
Scientifically using the various automation and digital technologies available today.
Yeah, and we also have, Mr. Mukherjee rightly said, required technologies are available here, and definitely it's a path forward for Indian manufacturing sector. Like one of the, when we are talking about the ROI, I saw one of the questions received, just wanted to understand the ROI for implementation of industrial robots and cobots other than automotive industry. So Mr. Naresh, can you also address, I'm sure that it must be relevant for most of the industries, not only automotive.
Yes, ROI is a very important aspect, and I face this question every time I meet a customer regarding implementation of not only robot, cobot, for that matter, any automation projects. Unfortunately, most of the companies in India, they try to derive ROI by directly proportionating it with the cost of the operator. And most of the operations in India, we have casual or contract workers, and contract workers are paid less. And whenever you want to use any automation by supplementing the cost of the contract worker per month salary, multiply by 12 months, divide by the cost of the robot, it will never come. So cost ROI becomes very difficult unless you look into the tangible and intangible benefit and quality and other aspects, the whole consideration, then ROI comes. Now the specific question about industrial robot and cobot for non-automotive industries. Yes, there have been use cases where the non-automotive industries have been able to get the ROI in less than 6 months. And there have been cases where they have been able to get the ROI in less than a year or two maximum. Like we have done a lot of projects in non-automotive industries like food, pharma, FMCG, and those type of industries, cigarette. And everywhere the ROI rate is much faster relatively compared to what we get into the automotive industry.
Yeah.
So there is a ROI which need to be very carefully calculated, but it is feasible to have a good ROI done.
It's feasible. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Naresh. And we are, approaching to the end of this session. So before we go to Ms. Trishna, I would like to hear from Mr. Anup Wadhwa. How I request you to give a closing statement for this session, sir. Mr. Anup.
I think the message by my esteemed panelists is a vote in favor of manufacturing. But let the truth be told that companies, like people, also need to have a passion for manufacturing. For some of them, it has become a ritual. It has been a traditional business going on for the last 2-3 decades. You don't want to shut it down, and therefore you are continuing to do with it. And trying to balance a use case of a cobot with the salary of a contracted labor is clearly not a very passionate way of improving your manufacturing process. So there are going to be companies which are going to excel for the right reasons. And unfortunately, there will be many companies in that quadrant of legacy manufacturers who, like the yellow and black taxi, will have to shut shop and go somewhere else. And that's the bitter truth. The pandemic has also said that, companies which are resilient can bounce back faster. So if your manufacturing systems, your business processes are good, you can always have technology to fill in the vital gaps. But if they are weak, then whether it's a casual labor or it's a technology, both are not going to produce that impact. And we hope that the majority will win. And with that optimistic note, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for accepting my request. Mr. Shinde, would you like to say one sentence before we concluding the session?
Thank you, Mr. Prasad. It is really the nice interaction what we have. Also, as a red line, the FlexAce products are used in many applications, and which will help for IT/OT convergence. So thank you again, and see you again.
Thank you, panelists, for exchanging your valuable thoughts on today's topic, Smart Automation Practices for Manufacturing. We hope you enjoyed the session thoroughly. Before wrapping up today's session, we would like to thank our distinguished panelists, Mr. Anup Wadhwa, Mr. Ashok Shinde, Mr. Naresh Kantur, and Dr. Dev Mukherjee. I'd also like to thank Mr. Gopal Krishna and Mr. Prasad Nair for taking this initiative. So with this, we would like to announce the closing of today's session. I request you to stay tuned for more such sessions. Until then, thank you and goodbye.